Welcome to GBC Updates for Friday, the 28th of August. There's only one thing to let you know about this week, but it's a fairly significant announcement, so please bear with me. About 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, we announced as a leadership that the next time that we would think about returning to face-to-face gatherings would be the end of August, and it is now the end of August. And so I wanted to kind of update you on where we're up to on that decision-making process. At this point in time, unless something really significant happens in the easing of restrictions, it is the decision of the leadership that we will not consider returning to face-to-face gatherings until February of next year. That is, of course, unless something significant changes between now and then. On the one hand, of course, this decision was fairly easy to make. I don't think anyone who's listening to this is going to be particularly surprised. We are learning more and more about how contagious this disease is. We have daily updates about where there are new outbreaks and more examples of community transmission. We have heard in the news more and more frequently references to next year, things that are taking place at the end of the year being canceled or the questions being asked about them. And so at one level, given where the restrictions are heading, which is not easy anytime soon, along with the logistics of actually returning to face-to-face gatherings, whether that be the sign-in and temperature checks and the distancing and all those sorts of things, or what I might call the cost-benefit of gathering together, doing all of that work for a gathering of about 100 people, all socially distanced, all wearing masks, who aren't able to sing together in worship and can't remain behind to mingle. All of that made this, shall I say, a relatively simple decision. On the other hand, of course, this is a really difficult decision. Regardless of how rational the reasoning is for it, we still can't help but be disappointed by pushing that kind of a deadline into next year. Seems pretty final and fairly pessimistic. And lots of other churches, of course, have found a way to go back or have made the decision to go back, which begs the question, well, why can't we? While I share our disappointment, while I share the concerns that, we might lose people to churches that have gone back and all of those sorts of things, I do believe that there are two really significant reasons why this decision is the right one for us to make right now. And that is apart from logistical reasons and all of that stuff. I think one of the things that COVID has revealed and amplified for us as a community of faith is that we have some things to deal with. Issues around our connection with one another and issues around discipleship. And services are not going to be the solution to those issues. The connection issues and discipleship issues that we have experienced and are experiencing, like many other communities of faith, are fairly complex. There's no one single cause. There's no silver bullet. But returning to services is probably not the best way for us to address it. Our services, of course, play a significant role in our sense of connection. They play a role in our discipleship. But for services to really be most effective, they need to be part of a suite of things that we do. Things like life groups that facilitate deeper connections, where there's a smaller group of people, and some of those other things that we've been speaking about. And I think that this opportunity for us now, the intentional break between now and at least the end of February, beginning of February, allows us to lean into some really significant things. And I actually think that's the second reason why this is so important for us. And that is, I believe that there's an opportunity here for us to really rediscover and reconnect with who we are as the community of faith. Here we have an opportunity, a chance to be intentional about seeking to build connection, about seeking to focus on discipleship, so that when we are able to return, we are able to return with the full complement, the full suite of ministries and programs and structures and things that we do that help us feel connected to one another and assist in our growing as followers of Jesus. This is going to take some work, of course, and over the next several weeks, we want to be leaning into this in some really clear and obvious sorts of ways. We want to be continuing to explore what these things look like. Just a couple of things to give you a broad, general idea of the direction. I mentioned the importance of life groups. We want to continue to lean into that space. We want to continue to resource our Connect group leaders, our life group leaders, equip them and resource them to lead our groups so that those groups become a really significant engine room for connection and discipleship. We want to be engaged in doing some things together. We may not be able to gather in large groups, we may not be able to have some of our programs, but there are still ways that we can do some things together. Just a couple of ideas that we are working through in terms of how we're going to implement. I think that one of the things that we're going to seek to do is to make Tuesday a day that we as a community of faith choose to fast and pray together. We may not all fast for the same period of time or at all, and we may pray at different times, but we'll be doing it at the same time. Our Carols Committee has decided that we're going to be streaming Carols in the Backyard, an opportunity for each of us to, on the same night, the 20th of December, host a little carols event in our backyard or on our balcony or in our driveway or in our lounge room, invite some friends and neighbors around and celebrate that together. And we want to multiply those sorts of things that allow us to do something together, and not just social things, but also things that are a little bit more mission focused. We want to encourage people to be inviting people around to worship together in our online services, to make that a bit of an event. And we also want to be doing some things in our community. So you might remember in March when we first went to the online forum, we ended up having a food drive for Hopefield, and we had 80 cars or whatever it was come through and just overwhelm us with big-hearted generosity. And we want to begin to do the same. On the second Sunday of every month, we're looking to do some sort of donation drive. It may not be food, it may be other things that Hopefield need as they continue to serve the needs of our wider community, doing things together. We also want to refresh our online experience. The set behind me, some of you have noticed that it looks pretty dull. It's because when we had to move to online services in 3 days, we found some plywood, whacked it up. We didn't think it was going to last that long, and now it's lasting longer. And so we want to refresh our online experience and continue to lean into that just a little bit more while still putting a lot of resources in life groups and other areas to help us build connection and discipleship. And while we want to be intentional about that as a leadership, we really want to invite you to be intentional about that as well, to play your part in this decision too, to make sure you're inviting people around to a Sunday service so that you can watch and experience together, that you participate in those things we try to do together, whether they're the donation drives for Hopefield or a day of prayer or whatever else that we may come up with. If you're in a life group, to make that a really significant priority. If you're not, to let us know that you love to be in one. Visit the life groups page on GBC Links and see if there's a group that is already meeting where you can begin to meet. Let us know if you're interested in leading a group. But to be part of this opportunity for us to really lean into this space. I've had a little bit of time to think about this. I've had a little bit of time to get used to the idea of pushing our next kind of reconsideration into February. I don't know exactly how you're feeling. I can imagine that you're feeling disappointed. I imagine that there's a little bit of sadness. But I do hope and pray that there'll also be perhaps just a little bit of excitement at the opportunity that we do have. An opportunity for us to continue as a community of faith to find what it is that God is inviting us into right now, particularly in the areas of connection, particularly in the area of discipleship. So that's where we're up to. Things have changed for us. I no longer feel that the important thing about this decision are wrapped around the logistics. I think we're all pretty across the logistics of face masks and 3 meters and 4 square meters and numbers and all that sort of stuff. This is a mission decision, a decision that we are making as a community of faith to enable us to really lean into the spaces where God is inviting us to join Him. So that's the update for today. We'll be making sure that this is also in the e-news, so you'll be able to read a little bit more of this and reflect on it a little bit more. As I said, we'll be unpacking what we hope to achieve in the next several weeks. There's a lot of other plans afoot that we're working through, and we'll let you know as we go with that. We'll also be announcing this in our Sunday services, and I'd really encourage you to join us. Perhaps invite some people around so you can be a part of that together. We'll be announcing it there and making sure that people are across what we're doing and how we're going about it. I do hope to see you on Sunday. Again, I encourage you to jump in the chat feed and at least let us know you're there. Perhaps let us know who is doing church with you as well, because that's super encouraging for everyone to see the people who are gathering together. But until then, I trust you stay safe and God bless.